first thing I think that is really helpful in relationships. Take care of your own feelings. It's taking care of people around you. And you'll hear meditation teachers say, create space, develop capacity. And what we're talking about is learning slowly to be able to hold our feelings. This isn't easy. Like you said, nobody learns this depending where we are. But if you grew up in the US, you didn't learn that at school.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. So today we're going to slow things down a whole lot. We are usually pretty heavy on tips and tricks and strategy and a lot of heady things, right? Things to say, things to keep in mind, all of that. But today we're going to be working on ourselves by bringing in Kimberly Brown, my new friend here. She is all about spreading the benefits and mindfulness and everything that we could all use more of. And that's about meditation, specifically from Buddhist and Tibetan practices. And you might be thinking, why are we learning about this? And for those of you who don't know, I was a yoga teacher before. I am actually a certified yoga instructor many years ago. I haven't actually taught in a long time. But going through that process, I learned meditation, and that really transformed my view on myself, my view of other people, and it truly did help me a lot with becoming closer to my own emotions and establishing a healthier relationship with myself. And as you know, if you've listened to me before, you know how much your relationship with yourself has so much to do with your marriage, your relationship with your kids, with everyone that mattered to you. So Kimberly, thank you so much for coming onto the show. For those who are new to you, can you please share with them where you live and what made you even want to dive into meditation? What inspired you to specialize in this and want to spread this wonderful practice with people?
Well, first of all, Michelle, thank you for inviting me here. It's really gratifying to be able to talk about my work and to share it with your listeners. So, Kimberly Brown, that's my name, and I'm a meditation teacher. And as you mentioned, Michelle, in the Buddhist tradition, although I hold that very lightly, no one listening needs to be a Buddhist to use any of the meditations that we'll talk about or any mindfulness. They're useful tools. And I came to this tradition actually through yoga. From my 20s into my 30s, I'm in my 50s now, my 20s into my 30s, I took yoga as exercise, and I went and it felt really great for my body. And I didn't have a lot of body mindfulness growing up. I was really in my head. And that really helped me start to notice, feelings in my body, sensations, how I breathe. Super helpful. And also many of my yoga teachers would lead a meditation. So that gave me a taste, of what meditation could be like. But I never really thought of it as a lifestyle or like a daily practice or something. It was, my exercise. So I knew how to meditate, kind of in a light way. It was useful for me. I felt more relaxed when I went to classes. And at the same time, then I started training to be, around this time, a psychotherapist. I was training to be a psychoanalyst, and I did this for almost 4 years. I saw patients and I had clinical supervision, and I really liked it. And I like being connected to people and feeling their feelings and sharing with them. So it was a good fit, except after a few years of training, I realized I didn't want to diagnose anyone. And I realized, because I just felt like, yes, we do all have difficulties. I have difficulties. You do too. But that doesn't mean I'm an anxious person. It just means, well, sometimes I have anxiety. And to me, there's a big distinction. I also felt that just talking was not going to be enough. And when I say enough, I think it helped keep me more in my head and keep other people in our head without, coming into our body. So I left that program, and I was still doing yoga. I was actually doing a lot of yoga at this time because I started to have panic attacks. And I could tell you exactly why I was having them, Michelle, because I'd been in therapy for a long time and trained as a therapist. And so I could tell you, oh, yeah, the reason I'm panicking right now is it's starting to get dark and it's very scary. It was like this when I was a kid. But I didn't have any tools to help with the panic attacks. I just knew why they were there. And that's what led me into practicing meditation more seriously. Like I said, I was still doing yoga. And then I started to seek out places that could teach me mindfulness, teach me loving kindness and compassion practices. I live in New York City, and I'm very lucky because in New York, at least at the time, there were many, many different Buddhist meditation centers and yoga centers too. And so I was able to study with quite a number of teachers. And what I found was that these practices were very useful with my panic attacks. I still have them, even though that was over 15 years ago. But the difference is, what I learned is not to be so afraid of the panic attacks, to work with that dread, and that I could have that experience without it destroying me or sweeping me away. So today, under certain conditions, I will start to feel that again. And instead of what I used to do is like try to really push it away. I used to try to go to either binge watch a show or go out with friends or, anything than to just spend time with myself. And what I've learned is the opposite. It's like a paradox. These really upsetting feelings come up. And the antidote to it is to get closer to those really upsetting feelings. And that is what meditation does for us. Meditation can allow you to be with yourself as you are. So that was my path to it. Within a few years, I just realized, wow, this is the continuation of that training that I had and left, And I started to practice more, do lots of retreats, which I still do. And I did several trainings to teach mindfulness and to teach meditations, both in a secular way and through the Buddhist tradition.
I love that. And I can totally relate, like looking back in my adolescent years, through my 20s, I did not like to be alone. And I didn't think that there was anything to it. I was like, I'm extroverted. So I love to go do things. I love to be with people. And for some reason, I struggled to be with myself. I would be so bored, out of my mind, not know what to do. I wasn't at peace with myself. And I didn't recognize that until I dove into yoga. And then I realized, oh, I'm avoiding feeling, because with the culture that I grew up in, those are not allowed. If it was anything beyond what was acceptable, there was no space for that. There was no room for that. It is inconvenient and uncomfortable for people. So just don't, right? Go do that somewhere else. Go do it on your own time, or just don't. And I didn't recognize that until my, late 20s, mid to late 20s. And now it's like, I love to be alone. I'm still extroverted. I still enjoy a good time. I still enjoy my girl time and hanging out with people, but I also value being by myself. For those who are new to this idea of meditation, they've heard of it, but they're like, what is it? Like, is it just sitting cross-legged with your fingers touching? Like, what is the appeal? So for those who are a little skeptical or just unaware of what meditation actually is, can you share with them what it is from your perspective?
Beautiful. And yes, there are a lot of sort of cultural misinterpretations or of what meditation is. Like you said, that you have to be a special person or go to a special place or sit in a special way, right? But meditation, really all it is getting in touch with yourself, really paying attention to your body, to your feelings, and to your thoughts. And the reason, some people might be listening and saying, well, I do that all the time. Maybe you do, but most of us, what we're taught is to pay attention to our thoughts, our stories, our judgments, and our ideas. And we kind of live there, and we don't quite realize, well, those are just stories. They're not real. They're useful. We all have to think. But the ideas I have about myself, especially the ones that I learned as a child, none of those are true. I am not a loser. I do not talk too much. I don't have to listen to all the shouldn'ts and the shoulds that I was taught, And so what meditation can show us is, well, oh, I feel a little anxious in my belly. What does that mean? Oh, I can feel it's tightening. It's rumbling, right? I can feel my hands are a little shaky and sweaty. What's my body telling me? Oh, in this moment, I'm restless. I'm worried. Okay, restless and worried. I bet that has some thoughts that go with it. What are those thoughts? Well, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. My daughter's going to flunk out of school. All of these thoughts that we have about possibilities in the future, and often guilt or regret about the past, or idealization of the past. What was so much better then? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. And this is, for most of us, how our mind is operating all day long. And meditation helps you to see really clearly your own operating system and how you might be able to first get in touch with it, understand it, love it. And second, not allow it to drive you, to have more choice in what you say and what you do. I mean, I'm someone who runs kind of in an anxious way. So that sort of personality, often I talk before I even think, because I'm propelled to say something. And with practice, with a little kindness and mindfulness, I can say, oh, Kim, what's going on here? And then I can choose what I say, how I say it. Or even sometimes, oh, I don't really need to say anything, right? And that's the same for all of us, especially with our families. Oh my gosh, most of us with our spouse, our kids, we're just constantly sort of reacting. And this just gives us much more choice to be who we want to be.
Yeah, I often use meditation as a way to almost like view things from an aerial view, like I'm watching as a movie what's happening. Because when we go through life, it's always through our own lens, which is very, very filtered according to our past experiences. As parents, we know that we have certain assumptions and generalizations and judgments about our kids sometimes, where it might not be on purpose, but you might be like, oh, this is my creative one. This one's my funny one. This one's my helper. And our parents did that to us too, right? Not just our parents, but any caretaker, anyone that had a lot of influence on us, and they can put labels on us. And we can subconsciously take on those labels and say, oh, that's my identity. But it's not even something that we decided personally, right? And so that impacts how we interact with everybody based on who we think we are, who other people think we are. And meditation really allowed me to have more of an objective view of what's happening rather than accepting my own perspective as the only perspective and as the absolute truth. And it's helped me stretch, right? It's helped me expand to consider other potential truths that could be true. So, why are we talking about this in relation to marriage and motherhood? Can you share with the listeners how meditation can impact those around us? Because we're talking a lot about like how we would feel after meditating and how it would help us. But how does this have a ripple effect towards the people that most matter to us? Why does it benefit them for us to even try out meditation?
You know what you said about being able to take a wider view That's one, getting really in touch with what's going on with yourself. And one thing that I learned just being in relationship is one of the best things you can do for your family, for the people you love, is to take care of your own feelings. And that might seem like, what? What are you talking about? But so many of us, we're not. We're trying, usually unsuccessfully, to take care of others' feelings. And Michelle, I know we could generalize, and maybe that's not so great, but this often women carry that. I know you talk about this, trying to manage everyone else's feelings and not our own. It can often be controlling. And it can often, like you said, you just think, well, the way I think you should do it is right. The way I think you should feel is right. And actually, none of that is true. And it's not useful to the people that we love. What's useful is to allow them to have their feelings and share them with us. That's the useful thing. And us to learn to do that too. So that's the first thing I think that is really helpful in relationships. Take care of your own feelings is taking care of people around you. And you'll hear meditation teachers say, create space, develop capacity. And what we're talking about is learning slowly to be able to hold our feelings. This isn't easy. Like you said, nobody learns this depending where we are. But if you grew up in the US, you didn't learn that at school. You learn to sit down,
They do
pay
now,
attention.
actually,
Yeah,
which
right?
I love.
Yeah. And so these practices say to us, hey, you can slow down a little bit and start to feel these feelings that maybe you've never really felt because no one's helped you through them. So at first they might seem wrong. They might seem painful because they are. You might judge it like, oh, I should be stronger than this. Oh, what's wrong with me? I'm mad again. All of that will be part of learning to just sit with your own feelings. But ultimately, developing this capacity is developing deep self compassion. And like I said, once you're able, I mean, let's say I get mad at my husband, I'm married, that happens, right? And for me, the practice is first, I feel mad. And in my head, what's going on, Michelle, is something like, he always does this. Why, I've said this 10 times. Why does this keep happening? And these are my thoughts. And what I've learned now is when that happens, I need to sit down. That is not the time to say anything at all. That's the time to stop talking and to sit down. And what's usually underneath that is hurt feelings, misunderstandings, my own sense maybe of abandonment or inadequacy, whatever that stuff that's all underneath. And so I can sit with that. And it's not always easy. I'm not making it seem like, oh, it's a simple thing. All of you can do this in a minute. It's hard and it's very beautiful. So I sit, I get in touch with myself, and then if I choose, I can choose a better way to speak to my husband, to say, rather than, why did you do that? It's, I'm feeling so hurt about this. Can we talk? That is so useful because once it starts to go, who's right and wrong, who's to blame, who started it, nobody gets hurt. And so, first, to hear yourself. Second, to be able to share that. And Michelle, like you spoke of, the view, to know, yeah, I do have my view of this situation. And you know what? So is my husband. Neither of them are right. They are our view, and we can share it with each other. We can hear the feelings that come up from that situation. But getting into you're wrong and I'm right, forget about it. There's no more love there. And the same with ourselves. Kim, what's wrong with you? Why did you X? Instead of, oh, wow, this feels really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more we give ourselves time to pause and process those feelings, like really sitting with them, letting all of the mean girl talk come through, or if it's about someone else, letting those assumptions come through, like we don't need to fight them, but once they've said their piece, just like with anyone, like when you try and silence someone, they're going to really get loud, right? Or cause some kind of havoc in your life. Same thing for your own internal voices. If we just hear them out, just like with a little kid, just because you hear them out doesn't mean that we assume that what they're saying is 100% fact. Like when my kids fight, I've had to teach them, just because I am listening to them and I'm not correcting them doesn't mean I actually believe everything they're saying, right? The siblings will be like, no, that's not what happened. I'm like, hey, look, you will get your turn to tell me what you think happened. But right now I'm just listening, because my role there is just to validate how they feel and figure out what can I piece out of this situation and come up with my own interpretation of what needs to happen next. I don't actually care about like the 100% honest truth here. I'm just trying to resolve this and help you guys figure out how you could get along better. And same goes for your assumptions, like, oh my gosh, they should have done this, or I should have done that better. I should know better, right? Let those voices come through. And then when they've said their piece, you'll start to have that curiosity peak, like, should I have known better? Have I done this before? Or, yeah, I would have done differently had I not only gotten 4 hours of sleep last night. Had I been less stressed because of work? So like, I think the more we are able to be in touch with ourselves, which meditation is a wonderful way to do that. Like that's one way, by the way. It's not like the end all be all. The better we can show up during conflict and not project onto our partners and not feel so quick to take things personally when they say things, right? Because when we don't take things personally from ourselves, we're going to be better equipped to not do the same when our partner says something that is really just them processing out loud, maybe. One question that came up to mind was like, for those who are not so well practiced with meditation or comfortable with meditation or their idea of meditation, what are some different ways to go about it? Because I know it's not just sitting down and just being still. I know there are different ways that you can practice meditation. So for those who are like, I can't stand still, I can't sit still, I'm going to be so fidgety, it's going to be unsuccessful, and I'm just going to wonder why I wasted my time. What are some things that you can share with them to try this that are more unconventional, or I guess like not something that you would assume actually counts as meditating?
Yeah. First of all, what I would say is for everyone to try to get still. And when I say still, like you said, it doesn't mean frozen. It doesn't mean you won't be fidgety. And I would do it just for 2 minutes. You can sit down in the bathroom, sit down, be undisturbed for 2 minutes. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your computer. These are kind of the first things. Just be with yourself. And for most of us, I think, Michelle, we're either interacting with people or we're on our phones or on the internet or watching a show. None of that is bad or wrong, except we are losing a capacity to be both bored and to feel unpleasantness. And we're really missing our whole life in a certain way because we're also miss pleasantness. So, simple things to do. The first, I would ask everybody, next time you are doing a household chore, whatever it is, vacuuming, cleaning the kitchen, put away your headphones, put away your phone, and start to, I'll use this word mindfulness. Mindfulness means paying attention to what's happening right now. And by paying attention, I mean experiencing. So if I happen to be washing dishes, what am I experiencing? Well, if I'm really being mindful, I'm going to experience the water on my hands, right? I'm going to experience sound, right? I'm going to have all kinds of tactile sensations as I pick up dishes and things like that. I'm probably standing so I can experience my feet on the floor. Now, what do I usually experience when I do dishes? I usually experience what I'm going to do next, what I'm cooking for dinner, or I'm listening to a podcast. So for everybody out there, these are really simple ways to get in touch with yourself because you hear that word grounding all the time. Now, you're a yoga teacher, you know what it means. But most of us, it just seems like, what does that mean? Well, how do I ground? I'm standing, I'm sitting. The way you ground is being experiencing your body. And mindfulness helps you do that. So for all of you out there who aren't sure that you can just sit and be quiet, take some time in your regular life, driving even. Don't listen to something. Pay attention. There's all kinds of things happening, all kinds of things that you can see and really experience that, feel your hands on the wheel. And all of this slowly gets you more accustomed to these other arisings. Like I said, we're all in our head and what do we do next? Blah, 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 blah. That's useful. You want to have that. But you also want to listen to all of this information that you're getting from the body sensations. And this is a good start,
Yeah, and even walking. If you go walking, try not having an earbud in. Try looking around, looking at the trees, listening to the birds, the people walking by, how it feels like to have your feet meet the ground. And this can also be as simple as sitting down and just breathing and focusing on your breath. That is probably the easiest way for you to try this out. Another way is through guided meditation. That was my way in, because to me, sitting still with nothing to do, with my eyes shut, I was like, I am going to be bored out of my mind. If you've watched like Eat, Pray, Love, you'll probably be like Julia Roberts, staring at the clock, like, how is time moving so slow? So like, find your way in, whatever feels the easiest way to just try it. Okay? We're not saying you have to stick with it, but just try it and see what it does for you. Even if it's for 30 seconds, baby steps. Either way, I think all we want for you is to be more mindful with yourself. Give yourself space to be with yourself, to have a better relationship with yourself. And that's what's going to really benefit the people around you and yourself. Like, we're not saying just like do this for other people. This is very much for yourself. But as a result, it has a positive impact on other people, because the kinder you are to yourself, the kinder you will be to other people. And imagine that. If you're one of those moms, you're like, I do everything for everyone. I'm so kind to them. Imagine if you were even kinder. It's possible. Okay? All right, Kimberly, you have a book.
I do.
Can you tell us more about that, please?
I'm just going to show everybody.
Yeah.
My book. It's this is my third book, and it's Happy Relationships, and I wrote it because unless you're a monk or a nun, or you live somewhere entirely in a cave, you have relationships. You may be married, you may have children, or you may just have close friends or even pets, but we all have relationships with our colleagues. And these practices can really help us better connect. And I mean, Michelle, here's the truth. And you mention it when you talk with your children. You hear them, you listen, and you validate. And that's because all of us have a desire to be heard and understood. And that starts with, as we're talking about, hearing and understanding ourselves and developing. When you develop the capacity to do that for you, well, now you have a capacity. You can do it for your kids. You can do it for your husband. You can do it for your wife. Whoever it is in your life, you can do it for your colleagues. And the reason to do it is because it creates healthier and happier connections. Because the truth is, I mean, I keep using my husband as an example because he's the closest person to me. And, if we get in an argument and we are just at odds, who's right, who's wrong, who's going to apologize? Your fault, my fault. Nobody feels good, and there is no connection there. The connection is broken. But if we can say, hey, I feel so betrayed right now. Hey, I feel so hurt. You did not listen to me. And that's the 10th time you've done it. And I told you that before, Kim. Why do you keep it up? When I hear that and connect with that, well, now I start to have like a kindness to my husband. Oh my gosh, he's really upset. He's really suffering. Wow. Okay, I can hear that. I get why he might be upset about that. It doesn't make me an evil, bad person. It just means I made a mistake. And how can I rectify that mistake? So these practices, what we're talking about, are in my book, and particularly a practice called metta, or loving kindness meditation, which Michelle and I talked last week. She's familiar with it from her yoga days. And it's a very common practice these days because secular brain scientists and therapists really can see its benefit. And the practice of loving kindness is simply repeating phrases of love, of warmth, of non-harming to ourselves and to people we love. I teach meditation individually as well as groups. So I have, private clients that come, and I also have a couple groups that come, and I'll teach families to do this. Like one of my groups is a husband and a wife. They have a couple kids and some grandkids. They don't all live in the same place, so we all meet on Zoom. And what we do is we practice loving kindness first for ourselves. May I be safe? May I be happy? May I be healthy? And then we give it to each other. May my children be safe and happy and healthy. And then we also offer it to people that are difficult. Maybe my father-in-law has very different politics than me. May he be safe. May he be happy. May he be healthy. And so what happens with these practicing loving kindness is it starts to rewire our minds. Most of us, like we've been talking about so much, we have these habits, we have these patterns of thinking. We didn't put them there, but they're here. If we practice in this way, we start to create new patterns that say, oh, my father-in-law, that drives me crazy. I totally disagree with him. And I want him to be well. And that is very different than, oh my God, what a jerk. Why is he so dumb? Or whatever might go through my mind in those moments. So it's not throwing out your wisdom. It's not saying like wrong is right, but it is saying, wow, each one of us struggle. Each one of us are human. And I want to wish that for them as well as me. And so that's a lot of what the book is about. There are a lot of practices in there that people can do to share with themselves and the people they care about.
Amazing. I love that so much. And for those who are curious to try meditation, Kimberly has so generously offered to record a bonus track to give you a taste of guided meditation. So if you're interested in checking it out, go listen to that next track. But I intentionally am making it a separate track so that you can make sure that you practice it when you're somewhere safe, aka not driving, okay? Like just do it on your own time whenever you feel comfortable to do so, whether it's while the kids are at school and you're at work, or you're at home, or maybe you do it in the bathroom and you're hiding from your kids, whatever you want, okay? But pick a place where you feel comfortable. Maybe even put on some comfortable clothes so you feel even more comfortable trying this new thing, and give it a shot and let us know how you like it, okay? Kimberly, I appreciate you coming on this show so much. Thank you for sharing more about meditation, the benefits that we can get from it, who could benefit from it, aka everybody. So whether you're new to it or you have been in the meditation world for a long time, I think that everyone can get something out of this episode. So I'm really so grateful that you came on here and to have met you. Kimberly, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Oh, you can go to my website, www.meditationwithheart.com, and there are links to guided meditations. I also have a weekly free newsletter that has guided recorded audio practices. So you can get all of that at meditationwithheart.com, and you can find my books. They're at all the booksellers. And Michelle,
Amazing.
thank you. This has been a delight. Thank you so much.
Of course, happy to have you. Okay, ladies, if you have loved what you've learned here and you want to learn more and you want access to regular reminders and resources on how to build your practice for meditation and become more mindful through that route, go check out Kimberly's website, go sign up for her newsletter and all the things. Definitely check out the bonus track that comes after this episode. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it with them. Even better, share this in your Instagram stories and tag us so that we can give you a shout out and personally thank you for spreading the word. If you love this show, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for being a listener. I would so appreciate it if you leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or wherever you listen. That's what helps the show grow. And I love reading your reviews. It just like brightens up my day. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for staying here until the end of this episode. I hope you're taking away something good and that you're going to try this out and let it positively impact your life for the better. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.